America had very little avant-garde filmmakers before World War II. To a large extent, the pre-war experimental film culture consisted of artists working in privacy. One of the pioneering figures of the post-war American avant-garde has to be Kenneth Anger. Anger creates films which were not only outside of the mainstream but contradicted them completely. Anger's films are searching for a meaning. His films follow a mixture of different visual paths, but the suggestions emerge from his bold adaptations of sources already full of their own meanings. For example, the iconography of American popular culture, such as movie stars, comic strips, the conventional language of narrative forms, for example, lyrics of rock songs, the imagery of classic cinema, and the representation of various mythologies, like Egyptian and Greek. Anger shot his first film at the age of 17, called Fireworks in 1947, a dream poem about a young man's erotic and violent meeting with a group of sailors. Anger's silent films of erotic imagery combined with musical soundtracks pushed Anger to the forefront of the growing underground movement of the 1950s and 60s. Anger's films include Scorpio Rising in 1964, and Invocation of My Demon Brother in 1969. Another influential avant-garde filmmaker was Stan Brakhage. Brakhage revolutionized the use of abstract form. His techniques include scratching, burning, bleaching, painting, and gluing things directly onto film strips, giving a dazzling and often hypnotic effect to his films. Brakhage made his first film, Interim, in 1952, which is of a young man and woman who stumble in and out of a romantic kiss as they take cover during a rainstorm. Brakhage's films seek to change the way we see. His films encourage viewers to avoid conventional narrative structure in favor of pure visual awareness, unlike mainstream films, which are dependent on identifying what is seen. Brakhage's aim is to create a more distinctive visual experience. One of Brakhage's most famous films has to be Moth-like, made in 1963, in which he glued leaves, moths, and fragments from nature onto the film strip. Brakhage depicts his idea of a moth's world of life and death, but also the speed of the imagery suggests that a moth's life is much faster than our own.
Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Britain saw the rise of an influential experimental director named Derek Jarman. He described himself as a queer filmmaker. Jarman had a brilliant visual style for his experimental films. He created a series of autobiographical shorts on Super 8, several major music videos, which lead to the MTV generation, and 11 feature films. Most of Jarman's ideas for his films were concerned with exploring hidden gay history of the world, from ancient times to the present. Jarman's avant-garde style of filmmaking is visually rich, and often surprisingly entertaining, with his sexuality and his nationality infused within his work. Jarman was perhaps the single most central figure of British independent cinema between the 1970s and early 1990s. Studio Bankside was Derek Jarman's first film in 1970. It's a diary recording daily activity in his studio where he lived and worked, and in the surrounding streets. Jarman edited this particular film in camera. He shot his Super 8 films without prior plans, but gave weight to the resulting images by radically slowing them down, sometimes to 3 frames a second, and adding music. Jarman was shortlisted for Turner Prize in 1986 in recognition of the outstanding visual quality of his films. He died in 1994.
Throughout the end of the 20th century and the start of the 21st century, film equipment and editing software has changed dramatically. The increase in technological advances has seen modifications in the way that experimental film have developed. For example, VJ software, which is a tool for sound and image mixing. A VJ is a performance artist who creates moving visual art on large displays or screens, often at events such as concerts, nightclubs and music festivals, and usually in conjunction with other performance art. This results in a live, multimedia performance that can include music, actors or dancers as well as live and pre-recorded video. Mick Grierson is an experimental artist, musician, filmmaker and researcher specializing in the field of real-time audiovisual composition, installation and performance. His work has led to several high-profile commissions, including title design and digital audiovisual installations for the hit TV show Darren Brown, Trick of the Mind. Grierson created and engineered his own VJ software called Mabuse. This has led him to create numerous real-time experimental video art pieces and performances. This software draws on themes of audiovisual cutting, disjunct, and representation based on real-time audio and video analysis. The major technological and aesthetic advance is that this instrument allows for a piece of video footage to be played into a computer and analyzed in real time, as it is being re-edited. This functionality was initially developed in order that one would be able to re-edit a live television signal as it was being broadcast. In order to achieve this, the software makes use of a 10-second delay buffer. The material is analyzed during this 10-second period. After the analysis, the material is made available to the performer. During this time, analysis of the input stream continues, creating a large and ever-increasing palette for the performer. Third World War is one of Grierson's first real-time films. It was created using a prototype of the Mabuse software. This piece is primarily politically motivated. As such, some of the treatments are an attempt to recontextualize and reconsider various aspects of media representation. Recorded live in October 2003.
Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're right. Oh my God, you saved my life. You saved my life, thank you.
As technology advances and develops, the face of film and the way it is viewed, shot, and edited will change. These changes have been seen throughout the history of experimental and mainstream film. For example, the change from analog to digital and the new and inventive ways of editing through VJ software. In conclusion, future generations will see the creation of improved and enhanced software and hardware, which will change the face of film altogether.